I am Larra Overton here at Bankers Life Fieldhouse for the Indy Star Sports Pacers playoff preview. I am joined by Mike Wells, Bob Kravitz, and Pacers head coach Frank Vogel. Coach, thanks for sticking around after practice and hanging out with us for a few minutes. We still got the guys on the court here. You guys just had a pretty up-tempo practice ahead of Sunday's playoff game. You're going to face the Atlanta Hawks Sunday afternoon here at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. What were you emphasizing today in practice as you prepare to face Atlanta?
Well, we just we really dialed into a lot of the concepts, so to speak, that the Atlanta Hawks have, mainly offensively, rather than trying to go through every one of their 100 plays. You know, there's just a number of concepts based on their personnel that we know are challenging to guard. So that's mainly what we were dialed into.
Hey Frank, when you look at the matchups across the board, you guys have had some great head-to-head going back the last couple of years. Is there one matchup in particular you think you guys really need to focus in, or is there several of them?
You know, I don't spend too much time on the individual matchups. I just know what we got to do to stop each of their guys. You know what I mean? And it's every one of them involves a team approach. You know, it's not about what Roy's going to do against Horford or Paul's going to do against Josh Smith. You know, every one of their concepts involves a team approach. So, you know, I spend less time worrying about the individual matchups and just worrying about what our team defense looks like.
Tell Pacers fans why they shouldn't be terribly concerned about what's happened here in the last week and a half, or should they be concerned?
You know, they shouldn't be concerned, you know, because our defense has been solid all year. We got away from some things. We got a chance to get our legs back under us. You know, really have a couple of really good practices to dial into, you know, what the Atlanta Hawks like to run, and we got guys that are committed to the defensive end. So, you know, usually when you stray away from that for a couple of games, you just tighten the screws and you get back right back after it.
Coach, thanks so much for staying after and hanging out with us. We know you have to take off, and we'll carry on. So thanks so much. Best of luck on Sunday.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck on your show.
Now, Mike, very familiar for the Pacers and the Hawks. This season, they split the 4 matchups that they had. What are the keys to this series for Indiana?
Obviously, everybody's going to talk about Josh Smith and Paul George, but I'm going to go with the point guard position. You look at Jeff Teague and George Hill. George has been dealing with a hip problem. Jeff Teague's one of the fastest point guards in the NBA. And if you look at the Pacers the last couple of weeks, George has struggled against some fast point guards. And if the point guard position struggles, it's a trickle-down effect, and it's going to impact the rest of their defense. And if, like I said, if George struggles, the Pacers are going to be in for a long series.
We're seeing Paul George right behind us doing some extra shoot around. How crucial is it for him to hit his stride in this series?
Well, Paul has been the best player all season on the Pacers. He struggled with his shot the last couple of weeks. And, you know, Bob played a little sports back in the day. So when a player struggles, one of the first things he does is settle. And Paul started settling for a lot of jump shots, and he struggled from the field. He's got to get his confidence back and feel like that he can take his man off the dribble and also focus on the defensive end of the court.
Now, Bob, we heard Coach Vogel say earlier that he feels that his players are incredibly confident right now. They've actually been on a bit of a skid, lost 5 of the last 6. Is that a scary thing for the Pacers? How worried should they be that
they should be very
limped
concerned
into the playoffs?
Absolutely. I mean, it reminds you a little bit of IU in the way they went 3-3 down the stretch as they headed into the tournament. I think this team has lost some of its mojo, and I think these last 2 days are going to be incredibly important to sort of tie this defense back together. I think they got to figure out a way to stop the pick and pop with Horford. He's a very tough cover for Roy Hibbert. I mean, Roy doesn't move his feet very well outside the paint, so I would be very concerned. I realize it's a small sample size, but still 6 games are meaningful, especially down the stretch.
There is somewhat of a feeling that the Hawks may have tanked a little bit late in the season to get the Pacers matchup as opposed to some of the other Eastern Conference matchups. Do you think that that is the case, and how much is that a motivation for the Indiana Pacers?
I don't think it's really the fact that they want to play the Pacers. I think it's looking to the second round. You always want to avoid the 4th or 5th seed. Because if you're in the 4th or 5th spot, that means you're going to face the Miami Heat in the second round of the playoffs, and that means your season's going to end. So I don't think it's more of a shot at the Pacers. It's the fact that you don't want to be running into LeBron James and company in South Beach, because no matter what happens, whether it's this round, the second round, or the conference finals, the Miami Heat are going to the NBA Finals. No offense to Pacer fans, but they're not going to beat them if that happens and they get to the conference finals. So I don't think Pacer fans should say, oh, the Hawks tank because they want to play the Pacers. They tank because they don't want the Miami Heat in the second round.
Depth is always crucial in the postseason. Who do you want to see step up for Indiana?
You know, it's all about the bench. I think you got to look at Tyler Hansbrough, DJ Augustine, and all those guys. It's the bench. You know what you're going to get out of the starting five. They've been the best unit all years, but when Frank Vogel goes to the bench, Bob Kravitz was having nightmares about how bad the bench played last year in the playoffs. Again, you got to have question marks. We saw what happened against Philadelphia. The starters sat, and the second unit, they were down 11-0, down by 26 points at one point. So you got to be concerned. I mean, Bob's talked about the mojo. You got to be worried, is the bench going to be productive, or is it going to be deja vu all over again?
A guy that I would like to see play more is Jeff Pendergraph. Jan Mahimi has really struggled here in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it's injury related or what it might be, but Jeff Pendergraph gives him the energy. He's able to cover that pick and pop, which is so difficult for Roy Hibbert to do, and I think he's going to end up being the one bench guy who's going to have an impact in this series. I don't see it from Green. I don't see it from Augustine. I don't see it from any, but Hansbrough's going to get his points and give them some energy. But I think Pendergraph has a chance to be a big-time player in this series.
Even though we saw that big night from Gerald Green on Wednesday, 34 points out of him, a career high.
Means nothing. It was against Philadelphia's summer league team. It really means absolutely. I mean, Arnett Moultrie had a double-double, if I'm not mistaken. So that tells you who they're going up against. Look, Gerald Green has been a major disappointment. I don't think the front office has done a very good job of improving this bench. I think they've taken a step backward. That was their big goal coming into the offseason, was improving the bench, and they didn't get that done. I think Green has been a real problem all year, and I don't see him having any impact in this postseason.
With all the points that you guys have mentioned, how do you predict this series with the Atlanta Hawks playing out?
You know, it's funny, you would think the way Bob and I have talked about things, that the Pacers are going to get swept. Quite honestly, I think they're going to win this series in 5 games. I'm not as concerned as Bob is about how they played down the stretch. The key is winning game 1 because there's such a young team outside of David West. They lose game 1. I can see them losing the series, but I think they're going to win game 1. They're going to win the series in 5 games.
I think it's going to be a 6-game series. I think there's going to be a lot of very tight games. I think that, again, it comes down to Roy Hibbert's ability to cover Horford in those situations. If in those times when he is covering him, sometimes it's going to be David West. Josh Smith is a matchup nightmare for anybody who plays him. I think the team speed for Atlanta is very good with Devin Harris and Jeff Teague. That's going to give them some nightmare problems. But I think in the end, their rebounding ability, their ability to play defense, I think the Pacers win in 6 games.
All right, thank you guys so much. Again, the Pacers will start the playoffs on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock here at Bankers Life Fieldhouse against the Hawks. Then again on Wednesday night, then to Atlanta for the best of 7 series. For Indy Star Sports, I'm Larra Overton.